Lawler, let's talk about some of the competitions coming up. Summit is on the calendar. DreamHack Montreal is on the docket as well. Season 8 is upon us as well. But you mentioned this to us actually before we came on camera. The last 6 majors / premiers have had different winners. So I'm wondering, in your opinion, this sort of parity in Rocket League esports, is that a good thing or a bad thing for the growth of the scene?
I hate to say it, but I actually think it's a negative. So we had, before all this went down, we had one team, which was Dignitas, that won 3 world championships in a row. They were known as Gale Force in season 4, and then they were Dignitas season 5, or season, it was 4, 5, and 6. 4, they were Gale Force, 5 and 6, they were Dignitas. And the benefit of having like a dynasty or this team, I mean, you look at football as always, you look at the Patriots. When you have a team that's so dominant, it's really easy to root for or root against. It's easy to follow storylines. And when you have a consistent team that's always winning, it's just easy to follow. When I go and talk to new people viewing and I have to be like, okay, well, these guys won last season, but 2 seasons ago, this team won and this team beat it's just super convoluted. So when you have a team that's dominant all the time, it is beneficial. The exciting thing on the con of that, or on the flip side, or devil's advocate, or however you want to say it, is that no matter who you root for, they have a chance, right? As a fan, there's always potential. Every new competition, your team could win. So no matter what the scenario is, when you go into a Rocket League event, we have no idea who's going to win. And it's the most exciting thing as someone who gets to see it firsthand. The fact that I get to literally sit down just as a fan of the game and cheer for whoever I want, or just really exciting high-level play. And I'm going to be happy no matter what the result is. So pros and cons on both sides, but overall, it is beneficial to have a team that is dominant because it does make the game a little bit easier to follow.
Do you feel like we reached a point of like fatigue of Dignitas? Because as an outsider, it didn't seem like that. It didn't seem like people were tired of them, like people got tired of the Warriors and were rooting for them to break up. But did you feel like that had happened at all, or did you feel like it could have kept going had the circumstances aligned?
It's been great because so internally their team did have some struggles. That's part of the reason why we are seeing roster changes with them. But a lot of the community actually turned on them. They just wanted to watch them lose. And that's part of the thing that I was talking about just a second ago, about how if you're a new fan or someone coming in new, even though we all love the players and the individuals as the team, people just wanted them to lose because they've been winning for so long. I mean, you're talking in Rocket League, most times we do see new teams win a major or whatever every other 2-3 months. And this team had been winning for 16 months, something like that. Like, it was unreal, their streak. So I think it was a matter of time, because to stay at the top for that long is proven difficult now that we've got 6 different major winners in a row. So yeah, it seemed like it was only a matter of time, but they were so good. And the difficulty of Rocket League is when you're at the top, staying at the top is almost impossible, just because people gun for you. They learn and change their play styles based upon how you play and try to fundamentally change what their approach is to the game. Yeah. So staying at the top is very difficult. The fact that Dignitas did it for so long, and the fact that we now see 6 major winners immediately after, all different, proves how good of a team they really were. So it's tough. The fact they did it as long as they did, I don't think any of us expected to it. And they almost won their 4th in a row, but Cloud9 took them down. So they were only a couple matches away from that too.
Yeah, that was a crazy matchup, that Cloud9 Dignitas. But going back to that Dignitas point for just a second, I feel like in esports, more than any other traditional sport, fans, even if they love the perennial winner, they love to see the underdog win more than anything else. We saw it at SmashCon this weekend, Jacob, where MKLeo is a beloved player, but people just loved his opponents, right? Like, they just wanted to see MKLeo lose just because he was the champion and he was perceived to be the unbeatable player. It's crazy to think that just across all esports that there's this mentality of, no, we want to see the underdogs
Counter-Strike 2 with like Astralis and
yeah,
Liquid, right?
Exactly.
Astralis was on the tear, and Fnatic previously, and Ninjas and Pajamas. We've seen this historically. SK Telecom, the team that is the Goliath in their scene, respective number of years, like, people start rooting against them even if it's not like there isn't a flaw, right?
Yeah.
Like, MKLeo is one of the most humble people I've ever met, and yet like people were like crapping on him because he's good. So, I don't know.
So Lawler, let's talk about some of the upcoming events. We got Rocket League Summit. We got some great competition, some great players attending this one. Maybe a little bit more of a casual atmosphere. What can we expect from Summit?
A lot of fun. There's going to be a whole lot of personality shown. A lot of the players. Summit came to be because of a community organization. Another thing that was brought up by some of my fellow co-commentators on the RLCS and otherwise. They created an event called Gold Rush, which was literally a event where community funded. They reached out to everybody in the community. They raised money to fly out all these players to someone's apartment, in a very just couch, hang out, have a good time kind of environment. You got to learn these players from more than just the player who's behind the controller or keyboard or however they play. You got to learn them as a person, and that's something that I think misses a lot out on esports in general. Is we see personalities in traditional sports, and you learn about everything. Their family, their relatives, their drama, this, that. All the ins and outs of the player, and the fact that we finally get to see some of that personality shine in a casual environment goes both ways. Not only for the viewer, it allows us to really grasp onto who these people are, but it also makes the players feel more comfortable. A lot of these kids are very young, kind of shy in front of the camera, but when you're in a house just hanging out with your buddies playing some video games, it takes it back to where it all started. Us sitting down playing, depending on how old you want to go back. For me, it was the Intellivision with my dad and my brother, but that's what we all did when we were
on
kids.
The same wavelength, Lawler. I love it.
Yeah. So for these kids, the ability to sit down and just hang out and earn, $20,000 or whatever it is a pretty cool feeling. So hopefully it'll get them to open up a little bit more, show that personality, and then allow us to really connect on a personal level with some of these players. And that's how you build fan bases. That's how you build these legend status players. And that's what we want, is for these guys to hit that rock star level status.
Yeah, it feels like Summit's coming at the right time. It certainly did for something like Super Smash Brothers as well, where it sort of unlocks some of those personalities. Counter-Strike and Dota, which is where it started, they have very large personalities, but so you already knew. But I do feel like Rocket League, this Summit is coming at the right time in its scene.
It's tailor-made. I think it's literally perfect for our scene. I think it's what we've needed. Gold Rush has shown that. I also run my own community tournament, which is all focused on like player comms and this and that, and the community loves it. So I think this is going to be a really successful event. I think Beyond the Summit's going to be really, really happy with the results.
We look forward to seeing who wins in Mafia if they end up translating that.
A lot of these guys have no idea what that is, and I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
DreamHack Montreal is taking place in September. Renault Vitality is their Season 7 champions. They did lose a tournament a couple weeks after winning Season 7, going back to that whole parody thing. What is your preview of DreamHack Montreal?
It's going to be a cluster of... Dude, I don't know. Every time I watch a DreamHack, I'm like, all right, this is what my predictions are, and then by day one, they're done. They're like, okay, I'm wrong in every single facet.
The Lawler curse.
It's horrible, man. It's so bad, but it's exciting too. Usually we have a couple underdog stories, so people like that, kind of inspiring, invoking emotion, kind of, hey, maybe I have a chance to do it too. And I think that's why people like the underdog, is it gives a glimpse of like, hey, maybe it can happen to me too. There's usually always someone that makes top 8 that we have no idea or expectations of. You always got to shout out Cloud9. We get to see NRG's first roster on a true professional stage and compared to Beyond the Summit. Like, there's so many things going in because it's going to be the first real big tournament, not to discredit Summit. Summit is definitely more of a casual approach, but the first big competition that has, like, big money on the line and everything that these rosters are really competing for, right before we have roster locks confirmed for RLCS, the Premier. So I think it's the first time we get to see like what the true rosters are going to be going into the season, with 32 teams international, between even our Asian region. We're having one NE from Japan show up for the first time. We've never seen them play international on a LAN stage. So I kind of need to go so I can go say hi to Realize and the boys, because they've hit 3-man freestyles in the air mid-passing plays, and it's insane. It's pretty nasty.
Last question for you. What are some of the storylines that you're really looking forward to tracking in Season 8?
International transfer. We're seeing Turbo Pulsa, previous of Dignitas, 3-time world champ, moving over to North America. He's going to be living in Atlanta, Georgia area with Garrett G, the 7-time LAN attendee. Only other person to do that is his former teammate Fireburner, who just retired, who's probably going to be their coach. We don't know specifically. I think that's huge. A lot of NA changes, a lot of EU roster changes. For me personally, I want to see if Cloud9 can make it back to the top. They came in as the Muffin Men at DreamHack 2017 and were then immediately signed by Cloud9 after their victory. And ever since then, they've always been considered the best or top 2 in North America. And it seems like everybody else is catching up. We haven't seen them be competitive. They've kind of shied away. Their star player, Squishy Muffins, who hits some of the most insane shots, has been relatively quiet because his other teammates have really stepped up. I want to see if Cloud9 can propel themselves. I want to see kind of the America's Sweetheart team, Rogue, see if they can consider themselves a top 4 again. But I mean, it's like I said, a cluster both on the competitive and otherwise. All the rosters are changing. Every time EU's like, yeah, we've had a really solid season, and then everybody flip-flops and changes, and it's like, okay, now what? So we are going to see, and you can quote me on this, the most competitive season we've ever seen to date, and it is really exciting to be at the forefront of it. It's gonna be a good time.
I'm a fan of parody, so I'm very much looking forward to season 8
It's gonna be nuts, man.
of Rocket League. Exactly. Lawler, longtime Rocket League commentator and analyst. Thank you very much for joining us, my friend.
Hey, appreciate having me, guys. Absolute pleasure.
Click that subscribe button here at youtube.com/ESPN eSports, and of course, continued coverage, including Rocket League, available at ESPN.com/eSports.